God, it was a blast, guys. Had a lot of fun. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Call me, okay? Call me. Hi there. Z here. And, I know it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I put out any sort of video, and I would apologize for that, but you guys know I'm a busy man. And if it's any consolation to my laziness, I'll tell you right now, life's going pretty great for me. Yeah, it's summertime, so I can finally start doing all my favorite stuff. Drinking by the pool, smoking cigars by the pool, getting fired from being a lifeguard. But let's go on to the positive things here. My kid's finally on a sleep schedule, so I can start spending more time into putting out more videos here, and, I finished Ozark, the newest season of Ozark, which is a pretty good show if you ever want to, watch that. But I think the most important thing I could think of right now is, there's free stuff everywhere, guys! Now, it's not 100% free, okay? Let me just put it this way. You still have to pay in time and effort. You have to make signs. You have to argue with police. You have to sometimes do a stupid chant every once in a while, but you wait until that one crazy guy throws something through the window, whether it be a rock or a flaming trash can, and then there's everything there for you. Like, just check it out. Check it out. This is all the stuff that I got just today. $100 bottle of scotch. That's gonna be, probably good for a week. And, what else do I got here? I got, here we go. I got this really cool, horn that you can drink out of, and it's come straight from Norway. I mean, there's some really cool stuff out there, but let's not focus on the material, okay? This is for a good cause. This is for pushing our society towards a better future. Because let me tell you, every single building that's been ransacked and set on fire, and every single item stolen brings us one step closer to perfect equality. So just keep that in mind. We're going to start being humble on this channel, and we're going to start working for causes. And the best way of trying to be humble on a YouTube channel, going back to your roots. Not my actual roots, because that would just mean that I would go back to making really, really shitty sketches, which I don't have a $300 camcorder anymore because my dog chewed it up, and now I don't have a dog anymore. But there is plenty of stuff out there that I have done. I've done movie reviews and game reviews, but the very first one that really got me into liking doing reviews as a whole is the Alpha Ass series. Anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's when I take an early access game from Steam. Usually it's a survival game, which is today as well, because I like survival games. I don't know what to tell you. I play it, I tell you how it's going, we move on with our lives. So I'm really happy to tell you guys that we have another Alpha Ass Huh? Guys! It's my looting friends! I told them to call me and they're actually calling. I gotta take this, guys. I gotta take this. You guys go ahead, like, dislike, unsubscribe. It really doesn't matter to me. I got stuff to do here. Starchild! How's it going, my non-binary person of color? A riot, you say? Sounds lucrative. Oh, I'm in. Who the fuck is George Floyd? Last Oasis is a game developed by Donkey Crew and revolves around a world that's began to stop rotating, leaving half the Earth a frozen hellscape and the other half so hot that Floridians might actually start complaining, with only a small strip of land that's actually habitable. So, you, a Mad Max-like nomad, must constantly be moving from place to place trying to outrun the sun's deadly rays while trying to find things to drink and monkey men to kill and, oh yeah, you also travel on a large wooden mobile bug-looking structure called walkers. So to any survival fanatic out there like yours truly, you must be asking, is this game going to be a lot more like Rust, where there's just a lot of gameplay that's PvP against 12-year-old children calling you a bot and saying the N-word over and over again? Or is it going to be a lot more like Ark Survival, where it's mostly grinding against the environment for those sweet, sweet RPG points? It's definitely the latter, right down to the dedication of several hours only to ride a thing, scaling from very, very tiny to absolutely massive, but that's beside the point. Let's start at the beginning of the game because, There's a lot to talk about. After making your character to your exact specifications, hair, bun, and all, you wake up on a rock with a disembodied voice talking to you about, well, obviously how to play the game.
You have spent your entire life rowing the flotilla, and now you have paid your debt.
This is Mr. Tutorial, or at least that's what I'm going to be calling him from now on, and you will be hearing his voice a whole lot, because if I could say one thing about both this man and his tutorials, is that they're very thorough. He'll walk you through everything about this game, how to pick up things from the ground, to how to fight AI enemies by the name of Rupus. It really doesn't matter, they're generic monkey men that you kill to get items that you'll need further on in the game. You'll be doing this entire cliche tutorial, not my words, it's the words of the developer, for literally hours and still not understand everything about this game. There's a whole lot to learn in Last Oasis, which can be a burden as well as a healthy challenge. But anyway, after learning how to pick up materials from the ground and crafting a beating stick, you'll know that fighting in this game is... It's fine. It reminds me a lot of games like Mordhau or Kingdom Come Deliverance, where you defend from an enemy's directional attack before launching your own directional attack and hoping that your enemy slips up. Although it's not as complicated as those other games. Those other games you have to actually, attack from all directions and defend from all directions, or maybe cancel one type of attack to sneak in another type of attack to mess up the enemies and all that kind of shit. For this game, it's simply attack horizontal and vertical, defend horizontal and vertical. That's it. And I can appreciate that they just didn't put slam button till the 4 monkey man dead, but still, besides things like javelins that you don't get until later on in the game, it's just kind of there. It does its job in the most mediocre sense possible. But don't worry, there's more to this game than mindlessly killing the inhabitants of this new world, like creating your very first abomination bug vehicle out of wood, rock, and a bit of bush. I'm not questioning this shit. And before anyone asks, yes, you do need to make these walkers because the maps are huge, and there's a whole lot of dead space in this game that you need to go through to get absolutely anywhere, and running on foot just doesn't do much. Even if you put all of your skill points into mobility, it's like pissing in the rain. You feel like you're doing something, but you just look like a jackass doing it. And building this thing is what some would call the epitome of grinding. Get wood by chopping down trees or finding little bits on the ground, gather fiber from random bushes, find stones on said ground because you haven't unlocked the pickaxe yet, even though you have the axe. It doesn't make any sense, and finding random rocks on the ground can be a bitch to find sometimes. It's just a hassle, really. Tedious, busybody work when all I want to do is sail the dunes and discover the intricacies of this new world. But after enough dedicated grinding, you finally do get your first walker, all on your own. And then you need to build the legs for it too, which I'm not sure why it wasn't part of the initial building. Okay, back to fucking work! And that's just one of the first things that I have a bit of a problem with in this game. Building anything it's just a chore. I know you could say that about any game. I understand that. Every single game has some sort of grind to it in one way or another, but this one just feels so slow. Like desperately looking around for trees or rocks or cacti is just mind-numbing, at least for the first few hours of this tutorial when you were walkerless. When you're just kind of walking around on foot trying to find all this shit. God, it really gets to you. When you do finally get your walker completed, I won't lie, there's a sense of accomplishment, and it makes finding materials easier because you can traverse the land faster. And speaking of traversing the land, let me tell you, when I told you before that this world is huge, I wasn't lying. I'm not going to downplay this. Locations in this game are massive. You could be traveling through the desert for 5 minutes straight, and besides the random monkey huts or ruins that you can find between you and your destination, all you can do is catch up on your podcast and enjoy the sandy surroundings interrupted by a few mountainous or jungle locations. That's it. And I think that's the main issue I have with this game. You're supposed to feel like this rustic, grizzled traveler braving the harsh environments of an unforgiving world, but besides making sure you don't die of dehydration or get murdered by monkey men or blue alien tigers who only aggro you when you get too close to them, You're just doing your best impression of Morgan Freeman in Driving Miss Daisy. And look, there are several things I am annoyed by, and yes, I am aware that this is still early access, and anything I can say they can implement at any time in the future for any reason, but it still doesn't take away from the criticisms that are at it right now. The game is slow, relaxing at points, hell, even entertaining when you're listening to a documentary about how Ed Gein makes belts out of human nipples and you're bashing an Arubu's head. It's fine. But after you collect enough ape skulls and you're trying to go to the trading post to sell them all for in-game currency, you'll waste 10 minutes just going through the desert to get there. But enough about the gameplay. I've beaten that horse to death. I did mention skill points before. So how are the RPG elements of this game? Well, after reaching higher levels on your character, you get skill points to put towards health, stamina, mobility, and damage. Pretty self-explanatory, which each of those stats do, so I'm not going to linger on them, but there is something that I would like to talk about, and that would be something called fragments. You find these fragments from killing the gorilla grunts that I mentioned before in loot boxes, or simply purchasing them through the trading post, and these are a little bit more important, because with them you can unlock new equipment, items, and upgrades through a pretty expansive tech tree, and unlocking enough spots, you can also get the ability to buy a new walker. Of course, they're not going to just give you this little rinky-dink walker and call it good. There are a lot of different walkers with different strengths and weaknesses. You want to be a merchant going from area to area, getting that sweet in-game currency? Hey, pick the toboggan walker. It easily outruns a lot of the more hostile walkers out there. How about a walker with more armor and locks you in an enclosed area for a little bit more protection? Well, the mollusk walker might be your thing. How about a walker that's so massive that you can hold an entire 50-person clan of Zerg scumbags that overpower solo and duo players because their cocks are so small and just... Alright, let's talk about the Zergs of this game. Looking at the reviews, the one word you'll see most often is Zergs, with the second most being Russian or Chinese. To those who are unaware, the term Zerg comes from my favorite game of my younger years, StarCraft. They're an alien race that are really easy to kill but win fights by sheer number of units. In time, the term Zerg was just adopted in gaming culture as fights won by quantity and not quality, and apparently, it's a problem in this game. There are massive clans that have just sunk their claws so deep into this game and have just been bullying anyone in their nearby areas. So much so that a lot of people have quit this game because of it. I have seen people with hundreds of hours on this game saying, I've just completely quit the game. I can't deal with them. Now, have I ever seen them? That's the real thing. Who cares what other people say? Has the reviewer seen it? No, in my 17 hours in this game, I have not been bullied by any clans, but I have seen walkers with 25 plus people on them just kind of running by me, and if they were so inclined to delete me or trash my walker, they probably could have done it. But here's the warning from your least favorite YouTuber. If you're looking for a game that's maybe 2 or 3 of your friends could play together and you have a good time traversing the landscapes and just killing monkeys and just unwinding from a nice good day of work, keep in mind that there are entire clans looking to take everything you've earned and possibly destroy or grief your walker in the process. So, have fun. But Zach, I hear you cry, why don't you just build a base if your walker can be fucked with? Well, that's a pretty good idea, especially in this game, because with the sun slowly trying to kill you no matter where you go, there's only so much time you can spend at each location before the game forces you to pack your shit up and leave. With that in mind, you can actually literally pick up your base plan in your walker and replace it anywhere you go. Boxes and crafting stations, not really included, but those are really easy to make anyways. It's definitely a neat idea and might make some people more confident having a base command before heading out on an adventure, but in my personal opinion, some of the basic crafting stations that you need can already be put on your actual walker. And the storage itself is pretty spacious that's built into the walker, so why build a base when you literally have a walking base yourself? I don't know, it's a difference of opinion. It's an option there if you want it. I just don't get it. And now that I have touched on all the major things I wanted to talk about, I think it's time to give my final statement, although I could have sworn I had something else to talk about. Now, what was it? It was kind of something that kind of nagged on me, and, Oh right! Technical problems and glitches. Go ahead and roll that royalty-free music. Let's see how much trouble I got into. Soon after building my Firefly Walker, I was going to a destination and accidentally had it stuck on a hill. When I tried the flip the fucker option, it seems like I have angled it at a hill even more and I couldn't move it at all. I had to rebuild another one. After getting pushed off a hill by a Rupu I was fighting, I got wedged into a crevasse that I could not get myself out of and I needed to ditch all my loot and respawn to another area. After falling from a pretty big height and barely surviving, my character was a ghost. He couldn't attack anyone, no one would attack him, but I could still use items so I know it wasn't lag. After falling from a massive platform I spotted in the distance, I also found out I couldn't take fall damage, had to relog on to fix the issue. Logging back in the day after safely logging out, my walker was nowhere to be found and I had lost all my items. When spending 15 minutes figuring out how to spawn in a world with your walker, which was not covered in the tutorial mind you, I had to run a few hundred feet to even get to the thing, and when I finally did arrive, it said that it was flipped even though it was completely upright. I tried to flip the fucker option again, but nothing would happen. Couldn't access anything or drive it because all it wanted me to do was to flip the motherfucker over and I couldn't do it. Had to find a workaround online. Look, I know, I think I've mentioned this before, but I think I'm gonna do it again. Early access. I get it, every early access has glitches and shit. I've played plenty of early access games and they've all had problems. I just thought this one was way worse than all the other ones, and it was just funny how many times the game feels like it was trying to screw me over. Surprisingly, even though most of this review has been pretty critical on what the game does, I actually did enjoy myself for the most part. Learning the fighting gameplay was interesting, the landscape was fun to look at, for the first 6 hours that is, and then it's just like, more desert, this is interesting. The progress you see before your very eyes makes you actually feel like you accomplished something. From your first tiny, worthless walker to your first medium-sized, respectable ones, you feel like you did something, you feel good. And the zipline mechanic on this is really fun. I didn't mention it earlier on, I was going to, but then I thought, there's not really much to talk about it. You zipline around and you feel like Errol fucking Flynn, especially when you get a good grasp on it, because let me tell you, it's not the easiest thing to just kind of get up and do. You have to practice a little bit, but once you practice, you can swing to a structure, ransack the place, and zip back to your walker, not touching the ground fucking once. It's fun. Sure, all of this stuff is fun at the beginning, and then once you get like the double-digit hour, that's when you start realizing you're in a loop. Travel around with a walker, stop at Rupu camps, kill them, steal their treasure, stop at wreckages, take the items, drag a box behind you to get better loot, shoot at wildlife. It all really starts to go numb for you. And again, I know some people will say repetition is in everything, but when I play Rust or Rocket League or Fallout 3, I don't get bored easily, even when I'm doing boring things. Maybe it's because I don't see enough challenge with this game. Maybe it's just not my type of game. I honestly don't know. And for the love of God, I will say it a third time, since I know someone always mentions this in the fucking comments, it's an early access game. I understand that. I don't know what they expect to do in the future of this game, but I'm excited to see it. If they could liven up the tedious travel parts, like if a Rupu had their own walkers and their like own primitive walkers and they try to attack you every so often, that could be fun. You know, maybe introduce a new race of creatures that could participate in attacking you at some points. Maybe set up a bounty system. I don't know. I'm not a developer. But what I do know is I'm excited to see where they're going. I'm excited to make my Where Are They Now review in like a year or so. Is it worth a play? I would say so. Worth $30 to play? That's where it really gets down to the person. You know, if maybe the people who are really into competitive survival games and have like a crew of people who are willing to fight other crews of people, or, you know, kids who steal their credit card from their parents frequently, maybe they'll pay $30 for this. Maybe. But you get people like me who have a very limited budget, they'll probably say a big no. Thanks for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and cheers.